Hi, if you are menopausal and you want to get out there and do a bit more exercise, but you're really not sure what you want to wear, and Lycra, let's face it, can be fantastic, but it can be also not so fantastic if you feel that you've put on a little more weight than you had anticipated. So that's what today's call is all about. It's about dressing to make you feel good and able to get out there and do the exercise that you want to do, whatever it is, because let's face it, there's a whole load of things that you can do. My name's Kate Usher and I'm a menopause coach, and this is Gail Morgan, and she's an image coach and trainer. And what Gail doesn't know about styling, well, it's just not worth knowing. There are 3 other videos in the series. This is the last in the series. So the previous ones were hot flushes, and there was one about dressing for weight gain, and there was one about dressing for confidence as well. So today's video is all about exercise. Now, we all know that we should do exercise, but during menopause, it becomes even more important that you start to think about your well-being on so many levels. But as far as exercise is concerned, women are at greater risk of putting on considerable amounts of weight during their menopause for lots of reasons. And as we discussed in the earlier video, it's because your body is trying to find estrogen elsewhere, and your fat is very good at producing estrogen, so your body puts on weight. It's actively doing it, along with the fact that your metabolism is slowing down if you're of average menopausal age. So you've got these 2 things coming together, which mean that you do gain weight. So it is absolutely a moment when you have to take, a long, hard look at yourself and think about what it is that you want from this next phase of your womanhood. And our well-being is all tied up with our physiology. And if you do gain weight, gaining weight puts you at risk at all sorts of female cancers, and also heart disease, which we don't even think about. Heart disease we think is a male issue. It's very much a female issue post-menopause. In fact, it's a bigger issue for women than maybe every other woman out there ever thinks. So absolutely, it's time to start to think about exercise now, because of osteoporosis, which equally we don't want to think about. We need to do load-bearing exercise. Now, that doesn't have to be running. It's not everybody's thing. I run, but that's not everybody's idea of fun. You can go out walking. Walking is just as good as anything else. You can do skipping. I can't do that either. Trampolining, I can't do that either. Or dancing, or any of the other things where you are actually standing on your feet and your body is taking the impact as you are moving. You need that for your bone density, because during menopause that starts to reduce as well. So taking control is what this is all about, because the minute you take control, then you are in charge of what happens next. And that's the most amazing piece. So Gail is here today to tell us all about how we can feel better going out and feeling good about yourself. So that can be going to the swimming pool and actually getting some exercise in that way, which is fantastic. Although it's not load bearing, it is fantastic for your whole physiology in every other sense. But not all of us feel confident putting on a tiny skimpy little pair of shorts and one of those tops with the bra thing underneath. But so yeah, Gail.
I don't think many of us feel happy putting on a skimpy pair of shorts and a little bra thing, not unless you're 18, and even then probably not confident to do that. So clothing when you're exercising it can be a challenge, because there are certain types of clothing, obviously, that we need to wear when we're exercising, just from a practicality point of view. So if I start from the feet, if you are going walking or running, I would say absolutely make sure that your footwear is spot on, so that they're supporting your feet and you're not going to get blisters and all the rest of it. So basic common sense, let's think those things through. Now with bottoms, if we like, so leggings and all the rest of it. So leggings might seem a bit daunting, but there are so many different styles of leggings that you can go for, and look for something with natural fibres in. So again, something maybe it's got a bit of cotton in. There are some fantastic products made from bamboo, or with a lot of bamboo in it. So again, a natural wicking sort of fabric as well. But from a stylistic point of view, then if you're going to wear tight leggings, and I mean that in the sense that they're figure hugging, they're great. Actually, they hold in all your bits, so actually they're well worth having, as long as they're high rise or to the waist. So don't go for low cut ones, go up. And if you're doing a lot of exercise, if you're going doing a lot of running and all the rest of it, then just think about those, that they're fantastic. And if they've got a gusset, it sounds really disgusting, but you might not even need to wear any knickers underneath them, because then that will give you a smooth line as well. But obviously wash them afterwards. Yes. But they are actually, although they seem quite daunting to put on, they're often more flattering than wearing a pair of loose baggy jogging bottoms, which are not going to be flattering to anybody. And then if you've got those slimlined leggings on, then wear a looser t-shirt over the top. Just be aware where the line of that t-shirt is, as I was talking about in a previous video, that you don't want to have a contrasting colour that cuts across the widest part of your body. So if you've got big bottom or thighs, then be careful where that line comes, or just go for a colour that's the same sort of tone as your leggings. But leggings can be in all sorts of fancy patterns and colours and things as well, so they could act as a distraction technique as well. So there's lots of different things, but I would try them on and experiment and find things that you do actually love. With the tops, again, avoid something that's too tight or skimpy, because if you're having a hot flush, that's not going to be great. But you can get lovely vest tops that are not sort of really tight fitting. You could go for a looser kind of t-shirt shape. One thing from a style point of view, if you're broad shouldered or bigger busted, then look for a V or a scoop neckline, because that breaks up the width of your shoulders and the heaviness of your bust. So conversely, if you're flat chested, you can go for a higher neck top, and that will work as well. It'll help bulk out your tops, so it makes you look broader. But just look for natural fibres, natural fabrics. Do the balancing of looser top and skimpier trousers, and that helps really to give you that confidence, and you're not feeling like you're focusing on your stomach. As we say, that's often where we add the weight on when we're going through menopause.
So let's talk bras.
Let's talk bras.
Let's talk bras. So I am a massive advocate of making sure that you wear, when you're doing sport, the right sort of bras. And if you're just going for a walk, that's fine. But if you're doing anything with any impact, then you absolutely need to make sure that you've got a proper sports bra, which gives you the support that you need through that. Because there is nothing worse, especially I know for many women who have a large chest, they feel very, very self-conscious when they're out doing exercise. There are lots of bras now that help with all of that, aren't there?
Yeah. And if you are large, especially if you're larger chested, then get a proper bra fitting. The old adage of majority of women are wearing the wrong bra size still holds true. So it's knowing what bra size to start with, because there is a bit of leeway. You can go up or down, but most people are wearing a size that's too big around the back and too small in the cups. And so making sure that you know what you're getting is right is the most important thing. But yeah, if you're doing any sort of high impact sport, it's not worth it because our breast tissue is very delicate, and it's uncomfortable, and B, it's damaging if you're doing high impact in a normal bra. It's just not going to work.
No. So I think that you know and I know that sports bras are relatively expensive things. They are an investment in that sense.
But if you are doing sport, then it's part of your sports kit, and that's it basically. That's all you've got to think of it. And again, if you are larger chested, it is so important to pay and get a good fitting bra that works. And it's one of those things you just have to swallow and do, because no other item of clothing is going to look good if your boobs are in the wrong place. They're just never going to work.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I was in the gym the other day, and there was a young girl in there who was trying to run whilst holding her chest, because her bra was just a standard bra and she couldn't move, and I would imagine it was agony.
Oh, absolutely, absolute agony.
Yeah.
And then the other thing you can, obviously, we were talking about swimming. So swimwear, again, if you're larger chested, you're doing a Speedo type swimsuit, which, I mean, again, lots of swimsuits have got some things that hold you in, some sort of lycra that will, and tight fitting that will help smooth out lumps and bumps across your stomach. But also a lot of those Speedo type swimsuits don't have any sort of breast shelf. I can't say a better word of using it that. And so if you're over a size D, cup size D, then you need to have something that will hold them in place. So make sure before you buy a swimsuit that it's at the barest minimum got a shelf that you can hoik them into, because that will help. Because if they're just flattened against your chest, it's going to be so uncomfortable. It's not going to look good. And so sometimes you might get a soft cup in there as well. So again, it gives you some shape and some definition.
So I think, I've, as an ex-swimmer, the whole sort of Speedo thing, absolutely, they're not there to make you feel, to hold you in. They're not there for anything. They're there for young and competitive swimmers to give them a slim line, basically, and also just to cover them up. But and I know that Speedo have invested an awful lot in making sure that they are producing now costumes that actually do work for women, and there are lots of brands out there that do exactly the same, that they provide proper breast support and also those sort of retainer bands across the tummy. And I think that the leg cut on costumes as well is really important.
Yeah, it is. If you've got larger thighs and hips, you might sound really scary, but you have to go for a high and cut leg, because it actually makes your leg look longer and thinner than if you go for a boy cut or a low leg, because it just brings attention. Again, it's a horizontal line in your widest part, but if you lift it up, it actually makes your legs look longer and thinner.
And I'm just thinking about that as we're talking about that. So the length of the shorts that you would be wearing, let's say, because obviously we're going into summer in the UK, it's going to get hot. You might not want full length sports leggings. So if you're going to put some shorts on, if you've got larger thighs, which let's face it, a lot of us do, if you've got larger thighs, where would you put the sort of short line?
I would go below, so definitely not on the widest part. Go under that if you can, and that goes for normal, walking around kind of shorts as well. So somewhere between, sort of mid thigh is kind of the best one to go, and avoid any sort of turn up or anything like that, because again, it's just creating a horizontal line right across the widest bit. And you probably won't feel really confident in kind of cycling shorts, because they tend to be grip and cling in right straight away. So try and get some shorts that are slightly looser, and that again balances the width of your hips to do that. If you're slim hipped, it doesn't really matter, because that's not your issue.
If only I was.
If only. Me too.
Okay, so I mean, there are lots of other sports, lots of other activities where you don't need to worry about those things. So Pilates, which I know you love, and yoga. The problem with all of those, like Pilates and yoga, is should we be returning to the yoga studio or the Pilates studio? You know, there's this absolutely beautiful woman or man with, you know, with lycra on and their sort of apple-shaped bottoms, and they've just got these tiny little bits of lycra on. How can you feel confident and comfortable in that environment and still feel great?
I mean, I think you've got to remember that most people probably aren't looking at you, so that's one thing to remember. We get so het up and think that everyone's looking, but they probably aren't, because they're there, certainly in that situation, to focus on themselves. So I wouldn't worry about it from that point of view. It's much better that you get out and you do it rather than not. But yeah, just take some of the tips, you know. And I mean, when I've done Pilates and yoga in the past, I've done looser trousers, sort of wider leg trousers. So again, if you are slightly bigger on the hips and thighs, then that's a nice balancing act to use a slightly wider, more yoga pant kind of look rather than the skinny leggings. So that's an option as well.
Of course, there's lots of places that you can get fitness and swimwear from these days. I mean, specifically fitness, all the high street stores are doing it, Marks and Spencer's, Primark. I know I've bought from both of those places, but there are also, you know, some of the higher end ones, and I'm sure, you know, you can give us some thoughts on that.
Yeah, and also online, and you know, so there's lots and lots of different alternatives from Lululemon down to H&M, you know, and somewhere in between. Yeah. So, and it's also, it's about, so if you're running and things like that, you might want sort of effective active wear as well. So it's not always about looks. It's about, does it work for what, you know, is it fit for purpose? And obviously, you know, you do want it to last. So from that point of view, it's important. But if you are losing a lot of weight, then equally, you don't want to spend a lot of money going through this transition, because you're hopefully going to drop a size or two. So it's about balancing that up and maybe thinking, right, well, once I've lost my weight, then I'm going to really treat myself to something gorgeous and fabulous from one of the more expensive brands later.
Okay. Well, that's it for today. I hope that you get out there and that you do some exercise, because as Gail just said, it is about doing it. It's not about worrying so much about how you look, but these are just ways for you to feel more confident as you step out and get on with it. So choose what you're going to do and have fun with it. Now, you can always look at the previous videos. As I say, there's one on hot flushes, there's one on dressing for weight gain, and there's one for dressing confidently during your menopause. So please subscribe, leave your messages, and we will see you soon.